Heartwarming surprise. How a little girl's incredible act changed a billionaire's life forever. In the heart of Willow Creek, a small Midwestern town, the weight of the American dream clung to the residents like heavy fog. Among them was 11-year-old Lily, a shining spark of hope, who spent her days navigating life alongside her single mother. Her mother worked 3 jobs, often leaving for long hours, the determination in her eyes unwavering as she pushed the heavy burden of bills and groceries through their tiny apartment door. Lily often felt the pang of longing, but she held tightly to the love they shared, refusing to let the weight of despair break her spirit. Then came the news, draped over the town like an ominous shadow. The community center was facing closure due to budget cuts. The laughter, learning, and friendships forged within those walls were suddenly at risk, and Lily's heart ached at the thought of losing their sanctuary. The center was more than a brick building. It was a home where kids came to dream, play, and grow. Determined, she gathered her friends, and together, they crafted a plan for a fundraiser that would ignite their community's passion and save their cherished space. But in a town like Willow Creek, the voice of a hopeful girl stood in stark contrast to the looming figure of Jack Morgan, the reclusive billionaire who had turned his back on the town that raised him. Once the scrappy boy selling lemonade on the corner, he was now a man cloistered in wealth and privilege, apathetic to the struggles around him. As he watched the kids rallying, he scoffed at their efforts, too steeped in cynicism to understand the sheer tenacity behind their dreams. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Yet, Lily's relentless spirit began to chip away at Jack's cold exterior. Every day, he noticed her bright smile and tireless efforts. She inspired those around her to collaborate on whimsical bake sales, and heartwarming car washes. Laughter rang in the air like a bell. He saw how their collaboration breathed life into the community, igniting the warmth of connection that he'd long buried under the weight of his wealth. There was something familiar about Lily, a reflection of the child he once was. Then came the moment that would change everything. One afternoon, driven by sheer kindness, Lily ventured to Jack's property and left him a simple bouquet, hand-picked from the edge of the community garden. The note read, "Thank you for believing in us." Jack, surprised by the gesture, felt a flicker of something long forgotten within him. This unexpected kindness shook the foundations of his guarded heart. He realized that, in her innocence, Lily had reached deeper than anyone ever had, awakening his memories of generosity and hope. Now, as the day of the fundraiser approached, tension mounted. Jack stood at a crossroads, feeling the tug of his isolated existence pulling him back, and the warmth of the community beckoning. Would he embrace the call of connection, or would he retreat back into the arms of his gilded cage? The phone rang, echoing like a jarring alarm, pulling him from his thoughts. It was a chance that could reshape everything. What would he choose? Would he step out of shadow and stand alongside Lily and the townsfolk? Or would he let the community that once raised him crumble into obscurity? The phone continued to buzz, and the weight of the moment thickened, leaving a lingering question. Would he rise to the occasion or flee once again? Jack stared at the phone, heart racing. He had never been one to hesitate in business, yet this was different. This was not about spreadsheets or profits. This was about people, about the community that once shaped him. The voice on the other end was impatient, urging him to make a decision. But his mind raced with thoughts of the kids at the community center, their laughter echoing in his ears like a melody he yearned to hear again. The memories flooded back, bittersweet and sharp. He remembered running through those same streets with friends, clinging to dreams as fragile as paper kites. That sense of belonging was something he hadn't felt in years, buried under layers of wealth and isolation. As he pressed the call button, something shifted within him. "Hello?" Jack said, trying to mask the tremor in his voice. It was his assistant, nagging about the upcoming charity gala he was supposed to attend. "You have to make a speech, Mr. Morgan. This is important." Important? The word felt hollow against the backdrop of a community clinging to hope. He ended the call abruptly, his heart pounding as he glanced out the window. A few blocks away, he could see kids riding bikes, their joy radiating like sunlight. Just then, a thought struck him like a bolt of lightning. What if he could use his resources to lift them up? What if his voice, once a chilling echo in the world of finance, could instead become a megaphone for change? The seed of an idea took root in his heart. He could help save the community center. Could he really step out into the light after so many years? The courage it would take felt daunting. But then he thought of Lily, her unwavering belief, her kindness. He poured himself a glass of water, taking a moment to gather his thoughts. The air in his home felt oppressive, a stark contrast to the vibrant life outside. Jack took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of possibility. He picked up a pen and began to scrawl a plan, fueled by a growing excitement. The plan would be grand, something Willow Creek wouldn't expect from him. He envisioned not just a donation, but a celebration, a festival the likes of which the town had never seen. Food stalls, activities for the kids, and, most importantly, a massive donation that would secure the community center's future. His heart raced at the thrill of taking action. Just as he started to feel the warmth of determination, another thought sliced through him. Would the townsfolk, after all his years of indifference, even welcome him back? It was a huge risk. What if they rejected him? Yet, as flashes of Lily's bright smile came to mind, he felt hope blooming. Deciding that the past didn't have to define him, Jack grabbed his phone. He flipped through his contacts, heart pounding again, as his thumb hovered over Lily's mother's number. He wanted to reach out, to make his intentions known. But would they trust him? He inhaled deeply, sensing the tide of change within him. This was the moment he had to seize. The fundraiser was not just another event. It was a chance to reconnect with his roots. He dialed the number, the sound of the ringing filling the silence of his home like a spark waiting to ignite. Would she answer? Would she believe in him? As he waited, Jack felt the weight of a new beginning pressing against his chest. What he didn't realize was that this call would send ripples throughout the town, setting off a chain of events that he couldn't yet foresee. Would this be the moment that changed everything for both him and the town he once loved? The phone rang on, a sound that echoed through Jack's home like an unanswered question. He felt each pulse reverberate in his chest, the anticipation thick as molasses. Just as doubt began to creep in, and he questioned the wisdom of this decision, her voice finally broke through. "Hello?" A lilting, familiar tone emerged from the speaker. It was Michelle, Lily's mother. "Michelle," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "It's Jack Morgan. I hope you're well." "Jack." "Wow, it's been a while," she replied, a mix of surprise and perhaps caution threading through her words. Jack could almost feel her sizing him up, navigating the space between the past and present. "What can I do for you?" He cleared his throat. "I want to talk about the community center. I have a plan to organize a festival to raise funds. Your daughter mentioned it needs help." Silence stretched on the line, and the enormity of what he was attempting began to sink in. Jack felt his heart race. Would she believe in his sincerity? The fleeting thoughts of rejection clawed at him, but he pressed on, urgency fueling his words. "I want to do more than just donate money. I want the community to feel alive again like it did when I was growing up." I want to bring people together to celebrate hope. Will you help me? He heard her breathe in, a hesitant, fragile sound. The weight of that breath held too many unspoken emotions. Jack, it's been so long since you've been involved. I know. And I'm sorry, he added, the words tumbling out with unexpected rawness. I've been distant, focused only on my world, but I want to change that. This isn't just about money. It's about connection. I want to show the kids they matter. Jack could almost picture Michelle's brow furrowing on the other end, torn between disbelief and hope. And you think a festival will change everything? Maybe not everything, he admitted, but maybe it's a start. Can you help me make it happen? He held his breath, waiting for her response. The tension was palpable. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, she spoke again. If you're serious, I'll help. But you will have to do the work, Jack. You can't just show up and assume everyone will welcome you with open arms. Of course. I understand. Relief flooded over him like a bomb, but there was still a layer of fear. Would the townsfolk embrace him? Okay, then. Let us meet and plan this, she said, her voice stronger now. But just remember, this is for the kids. With that, he ended the call, a swirl of hope and doubt consuming him. Jack began mapping out the festival intentions on paper, each word fueling a new light in his heart. But just as excitement danced within him, another thought struck like thunder. What if this was more than just a festival? What if it set off a wave of change not only for the community, but for Jack too? Exodus from his past life to a hopeful new beginning. Suddenly, he envisioned a crowd gathering together, laughter spilling into the air like sweet music, and the joy he longed to feel resonating among the chatter. Would he find his place in that world? Determined to find out, Jack started calling local businesses, gathering support. Each conversation filled his spirit with fresh energy. What he didn't anticipate was the unexpected phone call that would emerge from a child's perspective, leading him to a revelation that could alter everything he thought he knew about connection and purpose. Would a child's simple act of kindness break down the walls he had built around himself? Jack's enthusiasm hummed like a live wire as he hung up the phone. Internally, he was doing backflips. This was a chance to connect, a chance to give back. The festival idea fluttered in his mind, colorful and inviting. His heart raced with every detail. He envisioned balloons, laughter, vibrant booths filled with local crafts and food. It would be a celebration of community, a sweet reminder of his childhood days. The next day, he headed to the local coffee shop, a small, cozy place with wooden beams and the rich scent of brewing coffee. It was a gathering spot for town folks. Their familiar faces filled him with a sense of nostalgia. As he approached the counter, he spotted Lily. She was sitting at a table, her petite frame surrounded by coloring books and crayons, her brow furrowed in concentration. It tugged at Jack's heart to see her so immersed in her world. "Hey, Lily," he called, his voice a mixture of excitement and trepidation. She looked up, surprising Jack with a smile that brightened the room. The innocence of her joy made him feel lighter. "Jack," she exclaimed, jumping from her seat. "Are you going to make the festival happen?" Her anticipation caught him off guard, but it filled him with warmth. "Yes, I am. I want to make it special for everyone, especially for you and your friends." Lily's eyes lit up. "Can we have games?" "I love games." Jack chuckled, her exuberance infectious. "Absolutely. I wanted all games, music, maybe even a pie-eating contest. What do you think? Can I help?" she asked, her words laced with sincerity. Her eagerness resonated deeply with him. "Definitely. We could use all the help we can get. How about you and your friends come up with some ideas?" Lily nodded, her face beaming. "Okay. We'll come up with the best ideas ever." As she turned back to her coloring, a thought struck Jack. This was more than just a festival. It was about empowering kids like Lily to explore their creativity, their voices. A few days later, Jack organized a little brainstorming session at the community center. He was nervous as he arrived, glancing around at the unfamiliar faces. Would they embrace him? Would they remember the boy who once played in these halls? As if answering his fears, he noticed children laughing and running around. The sight lifted his thoughts, reminding him of the happiness that lay in gatherings. As the meeting began, Jack looked at the group of kids gathered in front of him, each one eager and animated. Lily sat at the front, her petite hands raised high as she rattled off ideas. And we can have a bake sale, with cupcakes, and a contest for who can eat the most cupcakes in 1 minute. The room exploded with giggles and murmurs of excitement. Jack's heart swelled. Each suggestion sparked new ideas, a web of connection weaving itself between them. Here he was, surrounded by children who had so much to offer, yet he had spent years lost in his own world. That evening, as Jack prepared to leave, he found himself lost in thought. Could he really change the community? Would his efforts spark a lasting difference? Just then, Lily tugged on his sleeve, her eyes wide with a question. "Jack, can you come to our class for show and tell?" His heart skipped a beat. "Show and tell? What do you want me to talk about?" Lily grinned. "About the festival, and how you're like a real hero." He felt heat rise in his cheeks as he dismissed her words. Hero? No, he was just a man trying to do right. But the pure admiration in her voice ignited something within him, a yearning to be that hero she saw. As he walked to his car, he couldn't help but feel the weight of his upcoming revelation. He pondered the time spent alone, avoiding connections, and whether it'd be enough to make an impact. Would he become the community figure he always wanted to be? As doubt began to creep in again, a car pulled up beside him. A familiar face emerged from the driver's side, Michelle. Their eyes met, and he sensed an unsaid understanding, a bond forming through their shared goal. "Jack, can we talk?" she asked, her tone serious. "I think we need to make some more concrete plans for the festival." But before she could continue, a sudden raucous cheer erupted from the direction of the community center, a disarray of unfiltered joy that filled the air with promise. "What was that?" he asked, his eyebrows furrowed with curiosity. "Just the kids getting carried away," she replied, her lips curling into a small smile. "But it sounds like they're ready to make this happen." Jack's heart raced with excitement. Something magical was beginning. And all at once, he felt the urge to dive deeper into this world he had shut out for so long. What if his connection to the community began to shift not just others but him, too? With Michelle beside him, could they really be the change he dreamed of? With a steadying breath, Jack prepared for the conversation ahead, a flicker of eagerness igniting within him, eager to discover what awaited on this shared path. Where it might lead him next was still unknown. But he knew one thing for certain: the festival was just the beginning. What other surprises would fate have in store for them? Jack took a deep breath, pushing aside his lingering doubts. He looked over at Michelle, who was now watching the kids laughing and playing. Her expression was one of quiet determination, and it sparked a renewed sense of purpose in him. It was time to get to work. "Let us sit down and start brainstorming some concrete plans," he suggested, motioning towards a quiet corner of the parking lot. The evening sun cast a warm golden glow, wrapping them in an embrace of light that felt fitting for the task ahead. "Great idea. I've put together a few thoughts on what we need," Michelle replied, her tone softening as they took a seat on a nearby bench. "But we could also include the kids' ideas too. Make it a true community effort." "Absolutely," Jack nodded, his excitement building again. "Let's hear your thoughts first." As Michelle pulled out her notebook, Jack couldn't help but feel a swell of admiration for her. She had taken on so much responsibility for the festival, all while managing her own commitments. It reminded him of Lily's hopefulness, a reflection of the vibrancy he wanted to cultivate within the whole town. Michelle began outlining sections for the festival: game booths, food stalls, a stage for local talent. Jack felt his mind racing with endless possibilities. What if we include a space for local artists to showcase their work? It would give them exposure and create a tapestry of our community as talent. That's a fantastic idea, she replied, her eyes sparkling. Art can always connect people. You think we can pull in some local musicians too? Their conversation flowed seamlessly, ideas bouncing back and forth like a tennis ball. They sketched out plans and mapped out sections, creating a vibrant blueprint of what this festival could become. Jack's heart raced with excitement. This was evolving into something meaningful. As the sky transformed into a tapestry of orange and deep purple hues, Jack found himself lost in the moment. He could hear the laughter of the children drifting from the community center, filling the air with warmth. But within that joy was a flicker of anxiety. What if they couldn't pull it off? Jack, are you okay? Michelle's voice cut through his thoughts. Yeah, just thinking, he replied, a bit sheepishly. What if it's too much? What if people don't show up? Then we learn from it, and we grow, she said calmly. But I have a strong feeling this is going to be amazing. The kids are excited. You brought that spark, they're already inspired by you. Her words washed over him like a gentle wave, reminding him that he was already making a difference. For every worry that nagged at him, there was hope on the horizon, enough to fill his heart. He could do this. As the last rays of sunlight dipped beyond the horizon, they gathered their notes and tidied up the bench. Just then, loud footsteps and high-pitched voices caught Jack's attention. A group of kids, including Lily, were sprinting towards them, their faces glowing with that same joy that sparked Jack's purpose. Jack, we thought of more ideas, Lily shouted as she joined them, panting and bubbling with energy. Jack's heart soared. Really? Guess what? I have a surprise for you all. I'm bringing in a big-time local band to perform. The kids erupted in cheers, their excitement contagious. Jack and Michelle exchanged delighted glances, laughter escaping from their lips as the children began to brainstorm more ideas. Amidst the chaos, Jack felt a realization settle within him. He wasn't just working on a festival. He was building connections, alliances, and friendships that would stretch far beyond this event. But as he pulled away from the joyful noise, the shadow of doubt crept back in. Was this enough to truly change things? Would it really matter? Before he could voice his concern, Lily tugged at his sleeve again, her expression earnest. Jack, can I ask you something? Of course, Lily, he replied gently. Will you stay in this town, forever? Her innocent question hit him like a bolt of lightning. Jack froze, the weight of her words wrapping around him. The festival might just be a beginning, but what if it could lead him to a future filled with community, friendships, and maybe even a home? As the children chattered excitedly, Jack felt a spark of hope ignite in his chest. The answer wasn't clear yet, but in that moment, he knew he had to find it. What would he choose when that moment arrived? The chatter of the children wrapped around Jack like a warm blanket. Their laughter rang in the air, a sweet melody that drowned out the earlier questions thumping in his mind. He looked down at Lily's bright face, lit up with enthusiasm. All the worry and doubt began to ebb away like the receding tide. I promise I'll think about it, he finally said, kneeling down to her eye level. But first, let us make this festival unforgettable. Lily nodded vehemently, her excitement palpable. Okay. We could have donuts and face painting. And a talent show. One by one, the other kids chimed in with their ideas, their voices mingling into a cheerful chorus. Jack smiled, letting the joy of the moment sink in. It wasn't just a festival anymore. It was a celebration of everything they cherished. Food trucks, too. We can try new things, another child suggested, his eyes lit up as if he had discovered a treasure. Yes, and we can have a petting zoo, someone else added, and the idea rippled through the group, sparking even more animated suggestions. What about a scavenger hunt? Michelle interjected, drawing their attention. It could lead to the main events. The kids roared with approval. The energy was infectious, filling their small corner of the parking lot with a sense of possibility and teamwork. I have a notebook, Lily exclaimed, pulling out a small, tattered journal from her backpack. Let us write everything down. As they gathered around Lily, Jack watched her scribble furiously. He was struck by how a simple notebook could hold the potential for so much creativity. It felt symbolic, an opportunity to weave their dreams into reality, one idea at a time. Jack glanced at Michelle, who wore a smile that matched the happiness of the children. It was beautiful to see. Despite all the uncertainties swirling in his mind, moments like this reminded him why he was here. He needed to ignite the fire of community spirit and create a place where everyone felt they belonged. After a while, the kids began to lose steam, their earlier enthusiasm turning into tired giggles and yawns. Jack and Michelle rounded them up, promising them ice cream at the end of their brainstorming session if they could focus for a few more minutes. I think we have plenty of ideas, Michelle said, gathering the notes and ideas they had jotted down. But we can't forget about the adults. We need their support too. Jack nodded, feeling the weight of the challenge ahead of him. Right. We need to host a planning meeting. Maybe we could have a community barbecue to kick things off? Perfect. We can share our ideas, get feedback, and drum up excitement for the festival, Michelle replied, already picturing how it might unfold. As they shared their ideas about the barbecue, Jack couldn't shake the feeling of hope blooming inside him. But that worry didn't fade completely. What if the adults didn't support them? What if the festival turned into a disaster? Would he ever have the courage to stay in this town, like Lily hoped? Hey, Jack. Lily's voice broke through. You haven't told us what band you're bringing. Oh, right. The sudden spotlight on him brought a grin of excitement back to his face. Well, I have something special planned. Trust me, it'll be worth the wait. Are we gonna get to meet them? She asked, her eyes wide. Jack chuckled. Let us see how it goes. It might just be the perfect surprise for the festival. As he walked home that evening, the sunset painted his path in hues of gold and orange. He felt lighter, an undercurrent of excitement carrying him forward. Maybe this festival could indeed change everything for him, and for everyone else. But just before he reached his driveway, the weight of his unspoken fears hit him again. Would he really have the courage to embrace this life? With his heart pounding, Jack realized that the real question wasn't about the festival at all. It was about belonging. Could he create a home where joy didn't just flicker but thrived? The answer loomed in front of him like a beacon. It was time to stop running, but was he ready? The next day, Jack woke up with determination fueling his steps. He made a quick breakfast, the sweet smell of pancakes filling the kitchen. But his mind was racing with details for the festival. The notebook Lily had used was still fresh in his mind, filled with ideas and hope. It felt like a map leading him somewhere wonderful. He decided to take a walk around the neighborhood. The sun had barely risen, and the trees shimmered with dew. Birds chirped warmly, as if they were encouraging him on his mission. Jack thought about everyone in town. They all had dreams and fears just like him. Maybe, just maybe, this festival could be the thing to bring them all closer together. Brimming with fresh ideas, he headed to the community center to start the day as planning. The dim, familiar hall filled with memories of past gatherings welcomed him. Jack noticed the bulletin board cluttered with flyers about local events, lost pets, and yard sales. All those small connections reminded him of the fabric of their community, where everybody mattered. With a deep breath, he began writing a flyer for the barbecue meeting. "Join us for a community barbecue," it read, and he topped it with a list of what they could accomplish. Connections, joy, laughter, memories. These words leaped off the page, wrapping around him like the warmth of the sun. Soon, the door creaked open, and Michelle walked in. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and she carried a cup of coffee that was still steaming. "You're here early," she remarked, grinning as she took in the sight of Jack at the table. "Just trying to get ahead of things," he replied, shaking off his nerves. "Let us make sure we're excellent at this planning meeting," she said. "We need parents on board, and I think if we present it right, they'll love the idea." Jack loved her enthusiasm. Together, they worked on the flyer, infusing it with every bit of energy they could muster. They decided to add a section for families to share their own ideas for the festival. That way, everyone would feel included. After a couple of hours of planning, the sun was high, and the parking lot was buzzing as families began to gather for the barbecue. Jack glanced at the grill, watching smoke rise into the air. He felt jittery but excited as he noticed Lily rushing over with a pack of crayons and a big grin. "Mr. Jack, I invited my mom and everyone. They're coming." "That is perfect, Lily. The more the merrier," he said, his heart swelling with pride. As families settled around, laughter echoed, and the food sizzled on the grill. Jack took a moment to absorb it all, the smiles, the chatter, the feeling of togetherness. But then he caught sight of a familiar face in the crowd, a woman he vaguely remembered from the past. She had a look of disbelief on her face as she caught his eye. "Jack," she called, stepping closer. "Emily?" His heart sank. She had been his closest friend before he left town, and the memories of their unfinished story hung like a cloud between them. "Wow, I can't believe you're back," she exclaimed, her voice thick with emotion. A wave of memories crashed over him, shared dreams and laughter, things left unsaid. Before he could think, Jack blurted, "We're planning a festival. You should help us. It's time we brought everyone together." Emily smiled, a mixture of curiosity and disagreement in her eyes. "A festival, huh? Sounds ambitious." "You know how people can be." Jack's insides nodded, doubt creeping back in, gnawing at the edges of his excitement. Would she tie them to the past, doubt his plans, make him question everything again? But something in her expression softened. "I'll think about it." As Emily stepped away, Jack felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, she would be a part of the change he desperately wanted to create. But as laughter erupted around him, the shadow of uncertainty loomed larger. Was this gathering merely an oasis, or would the challenges rise like walls around him once again? Jack's heart raced. Tonight might just reveal everything he feared, and everything he longed for. What awaited him in the depths of a community stitched together by uncertainty and unspoken words? As the day wore on, Jack struggled to shake off his nerves. The gathering felt alive with energy, yet the ghost of his past lingered in the air, especially with Emily nearby. Conversations flowed, laughter mingled with the tantalizing aroma from the grill, and yet Jack found his focus drifting. He moved among the tables, chatting with families, nodding at the parents who shared their plans for the festival. "We could have an arts and crafts booth," one mother suggested. A father chimed in about a homemade bake sale. Ideas began to swirl around him, each proposal igniting a little more hope in Jack's heart. But every time he turned his gaze towards Emily, his heart stumbled. She stood off to the side, leaning against a fence, observing the scene like a forgotten statue. Her eyes glowed with a warmth he remembered, but they also held a flicker of uncertainty, maybe even disappointment. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting the scene in golden hues, Jack decided he needed to talk to her. He approached slowly, determined to clear the air. "Hey, Emily," he said softly, catching her off guard as she turned to him. "Hey," she replied, her smile shimmering but fading just as fast. "You've built quite a gathering here." "It's not just me," Jack insisted. "The whole community is rallying together." She hesitated, rubbing her arms as if warding off a chill. "I want to believe in this idea." "But you left without saying goodbye, Jack." That hurt. He felt a pang in his chest. "I know, I'm sorry," he said, his voice firm with sincerity. "But I want to make things right. The festival, it could be something really special, don't you see? It's not just an event. It's a chance for us all to reconnect. And what if it doesn't work?" She shot back, her brow furrowed. "What if it brings more division?" Jack took a breath. "Then at least we tried. Isn't that what matters?" Emily studied him quietly, as the sounds of children laughing nearby drifted into the space between them. "Why are you so passionate about this?" she asked, the spark of curiosity igniting in her eyes. "I've missed this place," he admitted. "I've missed you. I want to see us all come together, not carry around old wounds forever. This could be a fresh start, a chance to let go of the past." She inhaled deeply, contemplating his words. Just as uncertainty danced in her gaze, Jack noticed Lily weaving through the crowd, drawing near. "Mr. Jack?" she called out, her face beaming. "Can I show everyone my drawing?" In her small hands, she clutched a colorful picture, a sprawling scene of families gathered, balloons floating, smiles all around. Jack felt his heart swell. "Yes. That's perfect, Lily. Show us." Lily turned to the group, spreading her tiny arms wide. "I want everyone to feel happy and together." Her innocent declaration melted the tension hanging in the air. Laughter erupted again as the adults leaned closer to see her masterpiece. Jack glanced back at Emily, who was smiling genuinely now, something bright glimmering behind her eyes. "See," he whispered, hopeful. "This is why we need to do this. For them." Emily nodded slowly. "All right, I'll think about it more," she said, her voice softening. "You may be onto something here." As they watched Lily show off her drawing and hear the claps of approval from the crowd, Jack felt renewed. The festival was more than just an event. It had already sparked change, bringing people together, breathing life back into the community. Yet, looming on the horizon was a question left unaddressed. Could the same energy mend broken bonds, or would some scars remain untouchable? Jack turned to Emily, feeling a sense of urgency. "What if we shared your memories? Your voice in this could be the bridge we need." But in that moment, just outside the edge of the gathering, a distant sound caught his ear, a voice, trembling, that he hadn't heard in years. Jack, it echoed like a silent thunder across the gathering. Jack's pulse quickened as he turned around, the air thickening with anticipation. Who could it be? Jack's heart raced in his chest, a whirlwind of emotions crashing over him. His mind raced through the possibilities. Who could be calling his name? The voice that echoed was both hauntingly familiar and painfully distant, tinged with regret. Turning slowly, he scanned the crowd. A figure emerged from the shadows, hesitant yet determined, her face barely catching the golden light of the setting sun. It was Rachel, his childhood friend, the one who had been instrumental in shaping his early years. The vibrant joy he once felt when she was around now felt like a heavy weight on his heart. "Jack," she called again, her voice wavering. The joy of Lily's drawing faded behind the reality of the moment. Jack felt Emily's unsure gaze shift to him, her earlier resolve replaced by confusion. "What is happening?" Emily whispered, stepping closer to Jack. Jack raised a hand to quiet her, his eyes locked onto Rachel. Every memory rushed back, laughing, playing, and then the silence when everything went wrong. "Rachel," he replied, his voice a mix of disbelief and longing. "Is that really you?" She moved forward, her steps cautious, as if she were walking on thin glass. "I've been looking for you," Rachel said, her voice strained. "I heard about the festival. I came to see if it's really happening." Jack struggled to process her words. "You've been gone for so long," he murmured. The weight of years lost pressed down on him. "Why now?" Rachel's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I couldn't he come back before? I was ashamed, scared of what everyone would think." A shiver ran through Jack at her admission. This wasn't just a reunion. It felt like a reckoning. Emily stood watching, her presence now a blend of support and uncertainty. "What about the past, Rachel? We have so much to face if we're going to move forward." Jack's voice held a tremor. "I know," she replied, anguish flickering across her face. "But I want to try. When I saw Lily's drawing, it reminded me of what we used to have, the hope, the dreams. I want to help you make it happen again." Jack looked toward Lily, who was now showing her drawing to a group of kids, laughter bubbling up around her. Could Rachel's presence really mean healing? "I'm scared, Jack. I've made mistakes, things I wish I could undo," Rachel confessed, her vulnerability hanging in the air. "Don't we all?" Jack said gently, his heart starting to soften. "But we can't let those mistakes define us. Look at this community, they've come together despite everything." As Rachel wiped a tear from her cheek, Jack noticed Emily's expression shift again. Maybe it wasn't just him who could benefit from second chances. "I want to share my memories too, Jack," Rachel continued, her resolve strengthening. "To show everyone that we can rise above what keeps us apart." The realization struck him. This festival was about more than unity, it was about forging paths to forgiveness and connection. But just as hope began to settle between them, the wind kicked up, swirling leaves around and drawing their attention. A deeper sound came once more from the back of the gathering, a different voice, one that carried a weight of authority and undisguised pain. "Rachel, you can't just show up now," it boomed, silencing the laughter, freezing the joy. Jack's stomach twisted. The figure emerging was someone he had not expected to see, someone from their past who could set everything ablaze. The festival stood on the edge of revelation, and Jack found himself torn between a chance at healing and the shadows of their shared history. Would they embrace the past, or would their secrets burn them all once more? The crowd grew quiet, anticipation crackling in the air like the last flickers of a fire. Jack felt a chill run through him as he locked eyes with the unexpected arrival, Mark, Rachel's brother. His presence was heavy, loaded with unresolved tension and the heartbreak of years gone by. "What are you doing here?" Rachel asked, her voice trembling as she stepped back, regret flickering in her gaze. "I'm here to protect our family name," Mark replied, eyes blazing. "This is not how you fix things, Rach. You don't just show up like this. What do you think will happen? You expect anyone to take you seriously after everything?" Lily's laughter faded into the distance, and Jack, fired with protective instincts, stepped forward. "Mark, this isn't just about you anymore. It's about the community, about healing. Rachel wants to be part of that. Can't you see that?" Mark's expression softened, but only slightly. "You think just because you throw a festival, everything will be fine? You can't erase what happened. We have to think about the town, about family." A murmur swept through the crowd, eyes darting between Jack and Mark. Jack felt a surge of unease, but a fire kindled within him. "We can't keep living in fear of the past. I've made mistakes too, and I want to change. This festival, this connection, we need this more than ever. It's how we forge a future." The words hung in the air, and he felt the gravity of his own plea. Around him, the murmurs grew quieter, the weight of his honesty sinking in. He saw faces nodding gently, understanding that the festival was more than just an event. It was a pathway for redemption and unity. "Rachel, stepping closer," said softly Mark, I know we can't undo the past, but we can choose to learn from it. We have to start somewhere. I miss what we used to have, and if this festival can help us rediscover that, we should give it a chance." The tension sparkled, and Jack wondered if they were on the brink of a breakthrough. But Mark hesitated, his brow furrowing as he processed Rachel's words. He began, faltering as if the weight of his own defenses was becoming too much to bear. "I don't want you to be hurt again." Jack watched the shifting expressions dance between them, hearts laid bare in a way they'd avoided for too long. "We're all scared," he said, his heart racing. "But the only way to face those fears is together." Mark sighed, the fire of anger waning as the moments unfolded. "There's a lot that needs to change if you really want this to work." "Then let us change it together," Jack urged, stepping forward again, confidence pooling within him. "This festival can unite us in making those changes. Let us build a new foundation where we all belong." The air remained thick, and for a moment, Jack worried they were just reaching for a dream that couldn't take flight. But then he felt a burst of hope at the corner of his vision. Lily, little and fierce, with her hands on her hips, leaned in. "I believe in you both. You're grown-ups, right? You can do it. Come on, let us make this festival a party for everyone." Her words sliced through the tension like a knife, igniting laughter from the crowd, a hopeful ripple spreading across faces that had once been shrouded in doubt. Jack's heart swelled. Maybe Lily's spirit embodied the very change they longed for, a spark needing to catch fire. The hesitant smiles from Rachel and Mark felt significant, a turning point of sorts. "Okay," Mark finally murmured, his voice softer now. "Let us see this through. We'll work together for the festival." Relief flooded Jack. The first thread of connection woven where there had only been distance for far too long. As the music started to play in the background, children dashed by, laughing, like fireflies painting the evening with life. Jack looked around the gathering, seeing flickering possibilities. This was just the beginning. The festival was approaching, but more than that, hearts were opening, walls crumbling, and fractured bonds slowly finding their way back together. "Let us not just reach for an event," Jack said to the group that was forming around him. "Let us reach for lasting change." In that moment, he caught a glimpse of the future, a future where joy and belonging flourished, where the past turned into a foundation instead of a prison. When he turned to Lily, her gentle smile shone like the stars. Could they really transform this pain into hope? As the crowd rallied to support one another, laughter rising again, Jack thanked anyone willing to help. The hesitant beginnings of healing had begun, and now all they needed were a few open hearts and combined spirits to ignite an unstoppable flame. With every interaction, every idea shared, Jack felt something he hadn't felt in years, a sense of belonging, a dawning realization that the community would continue to thrive. Would the scars fade? Would they evolve together? Jack didn't have all the answers, but he knew this was the moment to take that leap. A celebration awaited, not just for a day, but to breathe new life into Willow Creek. This was their moment, their revival. As the festival day approached, Jack held on to this realization with his whole heart. They were poised to embark on a journey of hope, resolve, and unbreakable bonds together. Now, don't miss the next chapter of transformation. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to catch every exclusive story. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep these stories alive. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this heartwarming ending. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible journey of change. This is the moment to show your support and be part of something bigger. Don't wait not even one more second to share.